In a distant part of the galaxy, there was a powerful alien empire ruled by a royal family known for their wisdom and strength. Every few years, they held a special ceremony where royal family members bonded with chosen partners. These bonds were not just about love. They created a deep psychic connection, allowing the bonded pair to share thoughts and feelings. It was a sign of power, unity, and honor. But this time, one princess sat alone. Her name was Princess Jera. She was blind. Since birth, and her legs didn't work the same as others. Many whispered about her in the palace halls. Some said she was cursed, others just called her useless. Because of her condition, no one came forward to bond with her, not even out of kindness. No one wanted to connect their life to someone who couldn't see, couldn't walk, and was thought to be weak. Jera had grown up in silence. Her days were spent in quiet rooms and forgotten gardens. She listened more than she spoke, and though her body was different, her mind was sharp, sharper than anyone guessed. She knew everything happening in the palace. She just pretended not to care. One day during the bonding ceremony, alien nobles and suitors from many worlds arrived, dressed in shining robes and glowing metals. Each looked at Jera as they passed, then looked away quickly. None of them spoke to her. She felt their rejection like cold wind brushing past her skin. But then, someone did something different. A young man walked slowly toward her. He was not from the Empire. He was a human from Earth, a planet not very important to the royals. His name was Callan, a quiet envoy sent to observe the ceremony. He wasn't important either, not to the aliens at least. But to Jera, his voice changed. "Everything. Is this seat taken?" Callan asked, gently tapping the stone bench beside her. Jera turned her head, surprised. "No one ever asks that," she said calmly. Callan smiled, though she couldn't see it. "That's a shame," he replied, sitting beside her. "I think you deserve more attention than anyone here." Jera's lips curled into a soft smile. "Are you trying to flatter me?" "No," he said, just speaking the truth. They talked for hours, while music played and light shows danced in the air. Callan didn't treat her like she was broken. He described the ceremony to her, the colors, the sounds, the movements. She listened, fully focused. When he described a firework bursting like a flower in the sky, she nodded. "It sounds like something that's alive for just a second, but still worth remembering." Callan was surprised by her words. She was not only thoughtful, she was poetic, intelligent, and had a unique way of seeing the world without eyes. That night when Callan left the hall, nobles watched him with confused expressions. Some whispered, "Why is he wasting time on her?" Others said, "He'll ruin his future." Jera sat quietly in her chair long after he was gone, her fingers gently touching the place where his hand had rested. For the first time in years, she felt something she thought she had lost. Hope. And for Callan, something had awakened inside him too. In a world full of pride, status, and cold tradition, he had found something rare, a true connection. Neither of them knew it yet, but that single meeting had already started to change everything. From that day forward, Callan visited Princess Jera often. No one told him to, and no one expected it. In fact, many at the palace found it strange. But he didn't care. Something about the blind princess pulled him in, a feeling that couldn't be explained in words. She was different not because of her body, but because of her mind. Each visit they sat in the same garden near the quiet fountains. Callan would describe the world around them, how the trees looked, how the sky changed color at sunset, how the palace lights sparkled at night. Jera listened carefully as if painting each word in her mind. "I can't see stars," she said once, "but I imagine they feel like soft points of light on your skin, tiny dreams in the sky." Callan smiled. "That's more beautiful than anything I could have said." Their conversations grew longer, deeper. Callan learned about Jera's life, how she was trained in silence by private tutors, how she studied history, language, and strategy. She could recite ancient laws of the Empire by memory. She knew more about politics than many council members, but none of it mattered because no one ever gave her a chance to speak. You know so much, Callan said one day, amazed. Why? Don't they let you use your voice? Jera turned her head slightly. Because I was born wrong in their eyes. A royal who can't walk alone. A future bondmate who can't see. To them, that means I can't lead, love, or be strong. Callan shook his head. They're blind, not you. Those words stayed in Jera's heart. No one had ever said that to her before. One evening, Callan asked a quiet question. Have you ever tried to bond with someone before? Jera's lips pressed together. Never. They believe it would fail. Bonding requires equal energy. Most think I wouldn't survive the connection. Some say my mind might break. Callan sat silently, thinking. He knew about the alien bonding rituals. 2 minds linked forever. Shared emotions, thoughts, even pain. It was deep and dangerous, but also powerful. You could try with me, Callan said softly. Jera froze. Her fingers tightened slightly. You would risk that? He looked at her calmly. Yes, if you wanted to. Not because I pity you, but because I see your worth. Jera was silent for a long moment. Then she smiled, slow and uncertain. No one's ever said that, not even my family. That night, rumors spread in the palace. Servants whispered that the human envoy was spending too much time with the broken princess. Some laughed. Others grew angry. The royal council watched closely. Earth is not strong, one council member said. Why does this human think he can bond with one of our own, even her? The next day, Callan walked boldly into the council chamber. He stood before the emperor and the elders and made a clear request. I ask permission to attempt a psychic bond with Princess Jera. The chamber fell silent. Everyone stared at him like he had gone mad. The emperor raised a brow. You understand what you ask? A bond that fails could kill you both. I understand, Callan said, but I believe in her. That's more than anyone else has done. The council argued for hours, but Jera's voice cut through the noise when she finally entered the room herself. If I am truly worthless, she said, then let me fail, but give me the same right as any other royal, to choose and to be chosen. That day, for the first time, the blind princess stood not just in body but in spirit, and next they would prepare for the most dangerous and powerful test of all, the bond. The decision was final. Princess Jera and Callan were allowed to attempt the bond, but the council only agreed because they were sure it would fail. They believed it would be proof that Jera was not fit to lead or love. Some even hoped the human would give up and leave. But Callan didn't leave. He stayed by Jera's side as the preparations began. The bonding chamber was deep under the palace. It was an old, sacred room filled with symbols carved into stone. 2 chairs stood in the center, facing each other. Between them was a small glowing crystal, the heart of the bonding ritual. It would link their minds and test their spirits. Jera sat quietly, her hands trembling slightly. She had never been more nervous. Are you afraid? Callan asked gently, sitting across from her. Yes, she whispered. What if they're right? What if I'm too weak? Callan reached out and took her hand. They've been wrong about you your whole life. Let's show them the truth. A royal psychic, dressed in silver robes, entered the room and nodded. When the crystal shines blue, the bond begins. Both of you must open your minds. If either of you breaks the link, the bond will fail. Callan nodded. Jera took a deep breath. The crystal lit up. At first, there was silence. Then came a wave of emotion. Memories, feelings, thoughts. Callan felt Jera's loneliness, her quiet strength, her childhood pain. He saw her walking alone in dark gardens, listening to music no one else could hear. Jera, in return, felt Callan's memories of Earth. Sunsets by the ocean, the warmth of his mother's voice, the fear of being overlooked by stronger empires. She saw his quiet bravery, his kind heart, and the way he saw beauty in broken things. But the bond was not easy. Jera's mind started to tremble under the pressure. The crystal turned violet, warning of danger. She's slipping, the psychic warned. If she loses focus, the bond will collapse. Callan felt it too, her fear, her doubt. The voices from the past. You are nothing. You are weak. No one will ever choose you. No, Callan said aloud, eyes locked on her. Don't listen to them, listen to me. I see you, Zara, I believe in you. Jera's eyes filled with tears. Though she could not see, she felt the truth in his voice. Then something shifted. Her mind stopped shaking. The crystal glowed bright blue. The bond locked into place. The chamber grew silent again, but this time with awe. The psychic stepped back stunned. It worked. The bond is complete. Guards and council members who had come to watch stood frozen. They never thought a human and a disabled princess could complete the sacred bond. But it was real. Jera smiled for the first time in years, a full joyful smile. She could feel Kalen's presence in her mind, calm and steady like the sea. I'm not alone anymore, she whispered. And I never will be, Kalen replied. Word spread quickly through the empire. Some were amazed, some were angry. But no, one could deny it. The forgotten princess had bonded, and not just with anyone, but with a human who dared to see her worth. Their connection was now more than just emotion. It was power, and soon they would need that power to face the trials that waited ahead. After the bonding ceremony, everything changed. Princess Jera was no longer ignored. Now, everywhere she went, eyes followed her. Some stared with respect, others with doubt or jealousy. But no one could deny what had happened. She had formed a full, successful bond with a human, and survived. Even more, she seemed stronger. Through their link, Jera and Callan could now feel each other's emotions, hear thoughts, and even speak without words. It made them more than partners. It made them one. Jera began attending royal meetings, something she had never been allowed to do before. Callan sat beside her. Whenever she grew unsure, he gave her strength through their bond, and when he felt nervous, she calmed his mind with just a thought. At first, the council was quiet during these meetings. They expected her to sit silently, but one day, a border conflict was brought up. 2 alien tribes were preparing for war, over a mining planet near the Empire's edge. Most council members suggested sending warships. Jera raised her voice. War will destroy both sides. But if we send small trade ships with food and medicine instead, they may choose peace. The council laughed. You think gifts will solve everything? One elder asked. Jera didn't back down. I don't believe kindness fixes all, but I believe showing respect first gives others a reason not to fight. Callan supported her. Words with more details from Earth's history. How trust and trade sometimes stopped bloodshed. The emperor, who had stayed silent, finally nodded. Let us try her way. If it fails, we prepare for war. If it works, then the princess has earned her seat. And it worked. The 2 tribes, shocked by the gifts, agreed to peace talks. No weapons were needed, just understanding and help. Jera's name began to rise. Whispers filled the palace. The blind princess sees more than any of us. But not everyone was happy. Some nobles feared her growing power. One night, as Jera rested in her room, Callan sensed something strange through their bond, a feeling of coldness, of danger. He rushed to her chamber. There, he found a masked figure holding a small energy blade near her. Without thinking, Callan jumped forward. He tackled the attacker, who escaped through a hidden door. Callan had a cut on his arm, but he didn't care. Jera held his hand tightly. You felt it, didn't you? Through the bond? Yes, he said, like a shadow crawling toward you. They reported the attack. Guards were doubled, but Jera now knew. Some would try to stop her rise, maybe even kill her. Still, she didn't back away. In fact, she stood even taller. If they fear me, she said, it means they finally know I'm not weak. Callan smiled. You've always been strong. Now the galaxy will see it too. Together, they began working on more ideas. New laws for disabled citizens, better training for non-war advisors, and ways to bring smaller planets into the Empire without using force. They were changing things, and they were just getting started. But the Council, proud and stubborn, was not done challenging them yet. Princess Zhera was no longer just a name in the background. She was now a voice in the Council, a mind shaping new ideas, and a symbol of change. The people outside the palace began to talk about her. Many young girls admired her. Many families, with disabled members, felt proud. They said, "If the princess can lead, then maybe we can hope for a better future too." Kalen stayed beside her through it all. He helped her walk the long halls. He read reports aloud while she listened carefully and gave sharp answers. She didn't need sight. Her mind saw more than most eyes ever could. But not everyone wanted change. Inside the palace, a few powerful nobles were angry. One of them, Lord Vareth, believed tradition was more important than fairness. He saw Zhera as a threat, and Kalen, a human outsider, was to him a mistake the Empire would regret. "She's changing the rules," Vareth said to others. "And that human is helping her do it. We cannot allow this to continue." The nobles met in secret. They created a plan to push Zhera and Kalen into something dangerous. If they failed, it would prove they were not ready for leadership. So the Council announced a special challenge: the border diplomacy mission. A problem had risen again near the mining worlds. A group of alien warlords refused to follow Empire laws. The Council claimed, "This is the perfect task for the princess and her bonded human. Let them solve it, if they are truly wise." Zhera understood the trick. If she failed, they would use it as an excuse to remove her from the Council. But she didn't hesitate. "We accept," she said. "Give us the ship, the map, and 2 weeks. We'll return with peace or not at all." The journey was long and rough. The border was filled with tension. Many soldiers warned them not to go. But Zhera and Kalen believed in one thing: understanding before war. When they arrived, the warlords were not impressed. "You send a blind girl and a human?" One laughed. "Do you think we're fools?" Zhera didn't answer the insult. Instead, she asked calm questions. She learned the warlords were angry because of broken promises. Supplies meant for their people had never arrived. Crops were dying. Their anger was real. Kalen checked the shipping records. What he found shocked them both. Some palace officials had stolen the supplies and sold them in secret. "It wasn't rebellion," Zhera said softly. "It was betrayal." They called a meeting with the warlords. Zhera spoke with honesty and offered fair trade. "Let us fix what others broke. Give us your trust and we will earn it." The warlords agreed. When Zhera and Kalen returned to the palace, they brought signed peace scrolls. The council was silent. The emperor stood and faced them. "You did what our finest diplomats could not. You turned anger into agreement. You brought honor where others failed." Zhera bowed slightly. "I only did what anyone would do, if they were finally given a chance." Now, the Empire saw her differently, not as the broken princess, but as a leader. And standing next to her was the human who believed in her from the very beginning. Together they were changing the future. But ahead, the final and greatest challenge still waited, a test that no one could fake or run from. The Trial of the Stars was the oldest and most feared test in the Empire. Only the strongest bonded pairs dared to face it. It was not a fight of weapons, but of the mind, heart, and soul. Inside the trial chamber, a psychic crystal created illusions from the deepest fears of both partners. If they broke under the pressure, their bond would shatter forever. The council believed Zhera and Kalen would never survive it, but Zhera surprised them again. "We accept the trial," she said calmly. Kalen stood by her side. "We're ready." The day of the trial came. The chamber was silent. No one else was allowed inside, only the bonded pair. The room was round, with shining walls of dark crystal. At the center stood the trial core, a floating sphere that glowed softly, waiting to test their bond. As Jera and Callan stepped forward, the light of the core wrapped around them. Then everything changed. Jera stood alone in a wide, empty hall. Her cane was gone. Callan's presence was missing from her mind. She could no longer feel him. Suddenly, voices echoed all around her, sharp and cold. You are weak. You don't belong here. You were never loved, only pitied. The human will leave you, like everyone else. The walls whispered lies, but they felt real. Jera felt her chest tighten. Her legs weakened. Tears welled in her eyes. Far away, Callan was also trapped in his own illusion. He stood before the Emperor and Council. They pointed at him with angry faces. You are not one of us. You don't belong in this galaxy. You think saving one girl makes you special? You are nothing. He turned to speak to Jera, but she was gone. In the vision, Jera stood far away, her back turned. You'll leave me too, she said. Why would you stay? Callan dropped to his knees, shaking. Doubt filled his heart. He began to believe the voices, but deep inside, something strong remained. Jera remembered the garden, Callan's voice, his kindness, the way he held her hand when no one else would. He chose me, she whispered. He sees me. Her courage sparked again. She shouted into the darkness, Callan, I'm still here, don't listen to them. Callan heard her voice like a light cutting through the fog. She's not a weakness, he said out loud. She's my strength. He stood up and began walking through the storm of voices. Jera, he shouted. She felt his voice inside her mind again. Their bond lit up with warmth and trust. And just like that, the illusions cracked. The trial core released a wave of light, and the chamber returned to normal. Jera and Callan stood together, holding hands stronger than ever. The doors opened. The council stared in silence as the trial keeper stepped forward. He bowed. They passed, he said. Their bond is true. Their fears did not break them. They faced themselves and still chose each other. The crowd was stunned. No one could speak. No one could deny it anymore. Jera was not a weak princess. Callan was not just a human envoy. They were a pair forged in fire and shadow. And now the stars themselves had accepted them. But one final chapter still remained. And the galaxy would soon learn what true leadership looked like. The news of Jera and Callan's victory in the trial of the stars spread across the empire like sunrise over dark plains. From grand city worlds to tiny farming moons, people spoke one name with pride. The once-forgotten princess who proved every rumor wrong. The emperor called a full assembly in the great hall. Glittering banners hung from crystal arches. Crowds filled balconies, curious and excited. Even worlds that had never cared about court life tuned in through holographic feeds. Something historic was about to happen. Callan guided Jera to the center platform. She walked tall, cane tapping, with calm rhythm. He felt her steady heart through their bond and smiled. You've got this, he thought. Her silent answer came back warm as sunlight. We have this. The Emperor rose. Princess Jera, bonded with Envoy Callan of Earth, has overcome every test. She saved border worlds without war and passed the oldest trial with courage. Today we decide her future role. He turned to the council. Speak. Some elders, the same who once mocked her, now bowed their heads in respect. We were wrong, one admitted. She sees what we could not. Another added, her disability is not weakness, it is different strength. Only Lord Vareth tried to object. Tradition, he began, but the hall murmured. Tradition had been beautiful when it lifted people up. It had become ugly when it pushed them down. Even Vareth's allies stayed silent. The wave had turned. The Emperor lifted his scepter. Then let us vote. One by one, glowing orbs on each seat lit green for approval. No red lights appeared. Not even at Vareth's place. At last the Emperor spoke the words Zera never dreamed she would hear. By will of the people and the stars, Princess Zera is now High Counselor of Unity, guiding all peace and outreach missions. Envoy Kalen, by right of bond, is named Ambassador of Earth and Royal Protector. Applause thundered. Zera bowed. Simple, graceful, sure. Kalen squeezed her hand. Their first act came only hours later. In a bright meeting room, Zera signed a new accessibility charter. It ordered ramps, voice guide tech, and fair schooling on every Imperial world. No one should be hidden away because their body works differently, she declared. Across the Empire, families cheered. Disabled children watched the broadcast and felt seen for the first time. Next, she and Callan opened talks with Earth's United Nations and 30 smaller planets that had long feared the Empire. Because a human now sat at the treaty table, trust blossomed fast. Callan's calm words and Zera's clear vision built bridges like strong steel. Still, threats lingered. A pirate fleet heard of the Empire's soft new rule and tried to raid a border colony, thinking peace meant weakness. Zera reacted in minutes. She sent swift patrol craft but ordered them not to fire first. Through open channels, she warned the pirates of overwhelming defense and offered medical aid if they surrendered. Surprised, the pirate captain replied, "You would heal enemies?" "We would heal people," Zera answered. "But if you refuse, we will protect the innocent without mercy." The pirates surrendered. Not a single civilian was harmed. Fear changed to respect. Respect changed to loyalty. That night, Zera and Callan stood on a balcony looking toward the stars, she feeling the warm breeze, he gazing at the endless sky. "Do you ever miss Earth?" she asked. "I carry Earth with me," Callan said, touching his chest. "And now I carry you too." He paused, smiling. "What do you see, Princess, when you face the dark?" Zera tilted her head, sensing planets, moons, unseen colors. "I see possibilities," she whispered. "I used to believe darkness was empty. You showed me it is full of light we haven't learned to name." Callan placed her hand over his heart. "Then let's give those lights new names, together." Their bond glowed, gentle but strong, a bridge between worlds. Far below, people celebrated a new era, one born not from perfect bodies, but from shared courage and honest connection. And as the Empire shifted under twin banners of compassion and conviction, the story of the blind princess and the human who chose her became legend, a reminder that true strength is never limited by sight, shape, or origin, but lifted by love, respect, and unbreakable hope.